Dustin Paschal here with Simon Paschal Says, coming to you from the new Simon Paschal Studios. We want to talk to you today about some of the new things that are happening or that are quickly happening, some of the on-horizon things as well as a result of a change in administrations. Every time you see a change in administrations that's a change in parties as well, you often see some pretty significant changes, and we are seeing that right now in the employment world. Now, a lot of it is still preliminary. We don't necessarily know exactly what's going to happen, but I did want to highlight just a few things. There were some opinion memos from the National Labor Relations Board that have been withdrawn recently, and one of them was about handbook policies. So that was a hot and heavy thing many years ago from the NLRB with the employee handbook rules, and then recently it was softened up in a memo during the Trump administration. That memo has now been removed or rescinded. Now they've rescinded it on the basis that they don't think it's necessary because of some court decisions. So I'm not sure that you're going to see much change in enforcement when it comes to the NLRB rules on employee handbooks, at least right now. But we'll see as that kind of plays out. There also was the Department of Labor rescinded, or at least paused, withdrew some new regulations that were set to go into effect in March. Particularly, one was about independent contractor classification, and that has been withdrawn. So any of you that were following that and were looking toward that clarification, that is no longer the case. So we will see probably some hot and heavy action on independent contractor status. The Biden administration would like to see that trend a little bit more like the ABC test out of California. I don't think it'll go that far, but that's at least where they'd like to see that trend. So stay tuned for the independent contractor rule. But what I did want to talk to you about today that is a little bit more concrete is at the end of December of 2020, the Department of Labor Wage and Hour Division also issued some new enforcement guidance regarding electronic postings. So many of you as employers are probably still remotely working, or at least the majority remotely working. And so the question always comes up about these required postings, both under the Fair Labor Standards Act or the Family Medical Leave Act or some of these other provisions, the Employee Polygraph Protection Act. There's a lot of different laws that have these required postings. And the question is, do I have to have them posted if I do it electronically? And what the Department of Labor is saying in this new updated enforcement guidance is that if you're not exclusively remote, then you still have to have the postings at the workplace, because you still do have employees going into the workplace. But if you are exclusively remote, then you don't have to worry about the physical postings at the workplace. But something to note for those electronic postings, and many of you probably know this, but it's kind of a fine point, so I want to make sure that we talk about it, which is you can't just email those posters to the employees and say you're done. That doesn't classify as a posting, because the regulations and the laws require continuous posting. And so what continuous posting means from an electronic standpoint is that it's available on an intranet or on a website or something, a shared drive, something that's equally available to the employees. And critically, the employees must know how to access it and must be able to access it without asking for permission to access it. So it's got to be readily available on an electronic source at all times for the employees. And if that's the case, then you're going to satisfy that electronic posting for those various posters that you have to have under the multitude of employment laws. So something to keep in mind there is we're still in that kind of remote workforce. But there's some information for you on kind of what's coming, where we're headed, and I'm sure as things play out, we'll have much more detailed videos on all those various aspects. So thank you for joining us for today, for Simon Paschal Says, and we'll see you next time.